What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the purchase of Creed. Creed was just bought out from L'Oreal. I'm going to read this article that's on Fragrantica. It's called What L'Oreal's Purchase of Kering Means for Creed. I'll also give my thoughts at the end of the video, as well as read some of the comments. So I'll try to summarize it because I already recorded this video. I just didn't have audio on. At least I read the part and then I realized I didn't have audio on. So shout out to me reading this article. I was proofreading it. That's what I was doing for you guys. But let's get started. In a move that has been widely reported over the last 2 days, Kering has approved a deal to sell its entire beauty business to L'Oreal for 4 billion euros. The offloading from Kering, which Reuters notes will facilitate management of its high debts, includes fragrance licenses for Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, McQueen, and Gucci after a partnership with Coty ends in 2028. As well as full acquisition of Creed. The brand joins the likes of Aesop, Atelier Cologne, and Maison Margiela with the L'Oreal Luxe division. For our purposes, the Creed news outshines the significance of the rest of its industry restructuring. Mainstream commercial perfumery follows much more rigid strategy bandwidth, both in terms of sales outlets and set moves boards, than brands playing in the niche space. Even if only as an intersection, it is highly doubtful the approach taken to scent profiles and marketing tactics of Gucci Perfume projects will shift with L'Oreal at the helm instead of Kering. L'Oreal may be bigger and stronger, but its new department store brands will most probably remain predictable in tone of voice and aroma alike. However, with Creed, there is a much greater range of possible profitable approaches and growth opportunities, including but not limited to even easier smelling profiles offered at lower price points, a greater number of higher intensity offerings at the top of the end market, expanding brick and mortar locations, or focusing on online businesses in developing territories. I do not think Kering misstepped in its approach to Creed novelties since 2023. The first release of the collaboration saw Absolute Aventus added to the brand's even in development had most certainly begun before Kering took over. Its activation by the new owners was sound and on trend. Since original compositions include Carmina, Queen of Silk, Centaurus, Delphinus, Fragaria, Eldaria, and Oud Zarion. In Panorama, the Creed scent aesthetic of the last 2 years, lean Middle Eastern, amber, mass appealing for the ladies, and strong in volume and longevity. This is exactly what Kering needed to do in order to expand Creed's reach from cult alpha clubbing favorite to everyday luxury for everyone. Scents that say expensive and splendorous without strangeness or discomfort. I even thought Oud Zarion was a standout example of how to compose a fragrance with unique signature, and that also appeals to the largest of crowds. The L'Oreal case is particularly interesting given how relatively true to brand but also unimaginative Aesop output has been of late, in tandem with the increasingly bland profiles of Margiela. So, what do you think L'Oreal will take Creed? Or which way do you think L'Oreal will take Creed? This was written by Eddie Bolicki, and it's on Fragrantica. Some of the comments here, I'll go ahead and go through them. Stingray says, I hope someday L'Oreal buys Chanel and Chanel get what deserves. I'm assuming Chanel gets what it deserves. Whatever. If you're really passionate about Chanel fragrances, sure, but this is a Creed article. I guess it's not really a Creed article; it's a L'Oreal article. Pino Silvestri, he says, I used to have that fragrance. Seems like when we see things like this happen is when we worth even more brands like imaginary authors, which are created and owned by his perfumer or fragrance creator. Okay, dude. Aramis says, well, we won't be missing out on anything with a fake brand like Creed and their mediocre stuff. Whatever's left of it will have the same future as the rest of the houses L'Oreal acquires. They all die a slow but certain death. Jeez, that's a little negative there. All right, I'll do maybe a few more. It's probably more like, The pearl clutching begins. Creed's been over, limping along on the name, putting out 3 hour scents, trying to convince us that there's no change in the consistency of the brand. They were bleeding out until the dreaded, mass-appealing newer releases dropped. What are we to stock up on? The product out now is already inferior, low performing. This is the end. Creed's been over. Why do you think it keeps getting dumped? Change, adapt, and move forward. It's 2025 and Creed is old news to the buyer that has so many options to choose from. When I started collecting Creeds were a trophy, a pinnacle in the game until Delphinus was released. I had given up on the house. My favorite summer scent of all time, Millesime Imperial, couldn't even get me back with the lackluster $400 4-hour performance. Good luck, L'Oreal. I truly hope you don't F this up and can turn this around. So, this guy is Tattoo Me 692. Mr. Tattoo Me 692 as a Creed collector here. I'm not going to let you slander. I'm just kidding. So I definitely don't agree with this guy. Reason being, I think what the release of Delphinus and Centaurus, that was Creed going a completely different route. That was Creed making the fragrances that are, you can even compare them to something similar to like homage fragrances, or just like in that vein, even with the recent release that was Oud Zarion. Oud Zarion, people say it smells similar to homage's Royal Tobacco, and I agree, it does smell pretty similar. So I think Creed has changed to what they were doing. As in Creed's longevity, I've never really had issues with Creed's longevity. I never really heard about that until I started getting more into fragrances. And that's when I started hearing more about Creed's longevities. And I feel like a lot of it is from people that don't even wear them. So I took, I have my bottles here just to show my bottles. But for today, my scent of the day was Aventus Cologne. It went 12 plus hours easily. It is a 2020 batch. And I have smelled the new 2025 batch. And it's actually a little bit stronger than this batch. At least from when I sprayed it. Obviously, this is a 2020 batch compared to a 2025 batch, which is fresh. No performance issues there. This Viking is my favorite fragrance of all time. And this fragrance, this is my fourth bottle of it, or third bottle of it. Different batches. They all smell the same. They'll all perform completely fine with me. But I also believe, like, if you put that in your mind that, this fragrance doesn't perform and you go nose blind to it, you're like, oh, there goes that 4-hour fragrance. There hasn't really been a Creed that I had any performance issues on. I would say the only one would be Neroli Sauvage, but I would probably have to get that one back in my collection to be able to give an opinion now, again, after wearing it for a little bit of time. I think I only wore that one maybe once or twice and I got rid of it. So at some point, I'll get that fragrance back in my collection. I'll speak on it, as well as with this sale. It's kind of making me want to purchase Oud Zarion a little bit sooner than later. Just because I don't know if there's going to be any changes to Creed or any of the current formulations. I don't see that happening. If people are saying that L'Oreal's fragrances are being like a slow death type of thing, then I could see them kind of just sticking with what Creed already does and trying to make them better, or just to try to get over that. Even though I don't think it's true at all, the performance issues. But even let's say something new like Centaurus. Centaurus is an insane performer. It's loud, it projects, it lasts. No one gives it credit though. It's like people, I don't know. It's a weird thing where people want to talk down about a brand that they probably don't even wear anymore, have never really worn, and they kind of just say what their favorite influencers say. They're not really wearing the fragrances, because, like, for example, Millesime Imperial on my skin, at least, I've never had any performance issues with Millesime Imperial, and I've had 2 bottles of it. One that I got rid of, and then I bought it back. He said Delphinus, he gave up on the house. To be honest, when I first, it was on video. when I first smelled the Venus and Centaurus. It was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. Whenever it came out, I did smell it, and I was a little bit disappointed, but I think I was disappointed because I was expecting to smell something from Creed that is a traditional Creed fragrance, something like Aventus Cologne, something like Millesime Imperial Green Irish Tweed. That kind of fresh, any time of the year, professional. That's what I'm more into, classy kind of smelling fragrances. So that's kind of what I was expecting when I was going into Creed, or just going into smelling Delphinus and Centaurus. And when that was completely different, it caught me off guard. But now, so Delphinus and Centaurus, I actually enjoy them. I gave them a chance again. It was a little bit after. I smelled them a few times in store again. And I was like, maybe I should circle back around. And I ended up getting bottles of both. And actually, I really enjoy my bottles. So this is going to be in the aspect of, like, Centaurus is kind of similar to something like if I had to compare the fragrances, it's going to be like Carlisle from PDM, Red Tobacco from Mancera, Argos's Triumph de Bacchus. This is that kind of DNA. To me, this is my favorite version of that DNA. I got rid of my Triumph de Bacchus for this Centaurus fragrance. Am I a little biased to Creed fragrances? Sure. But I really believe I enjoyed this more than the Argos fragrance. I really do. I for sure enjoy this way more than Mancera's Red Tobacco. I should revisit Red Tobacco because it's been a while, and I kind of really do like this tobacco note now. I really do enjoy it. Back then, I really didn't. And I forgot the other fragrance I related this to. But yeah, I think it's just a lot of talk that, especially if we're just like talking down on Creed, that in my opinion, it's just talk. It's just, honestly just talk from people that don't really know the fragrances. Like I pretty much have most out of the current fragrances that are out for Creed fragrances for men. I do have most of them. Only one that I'm missing is Oud Zerion and the Relais Sauvage, and I could go buy them, but I just haven't. So maybe I'll finish out the collection, whatever. Who knows? But yeah, that's my thoughts on just the Creed itself. L'Oreal buying Creed. If I'm being honest, I really don't know what other fragrances L'Oreal has. So let me go ahead and look that up. Fragrance brands L'Oreal owns. So L'Oreal owns Lancôme, YSL, Giorgio Armani, Azzaro, Victor and Rolf, Maison Margiela, Prada, Ralph Lauren, Cacharel, Diesel, Mugler, Valentino. Okay. So let's see a little bit more of the fragrances that they own. Oh, let me see luxury brand. Oh, okay, never mind. Let me see if I could get a little bit more detail exactly of what else they have. All right, so let me see if there's any that I can recognize. I already said YSL. I said with Valentino, Victor and Rolf, Ralph Lauren, Prada, Mugler, Maison Margiela, Lancôme, Guy Laroche, Azzaro, Aesop, Atelier Cologne. The other ones I really don't know. Well, obviously Giorgio Armani. I wouldn't say that Creed's in bad hands. YSL fragrances, at least for like their higher end line, I really enjoy YSL fragrance, the higher end line fragrances. If you're going to talk about the YSL designer line fragrances, I'm not the biggest fan of those. But if you're talking about Tuxedo is one of my favorite fragrances. Baby Cat, I really enjoy Baby Cat. A lot of other fragrances from that line I also enjoy. Then you have stuff like Valentino fragrances. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of just regular designer fragrances. But Valentino does do them a little bit differently. So I do own one Valentino fragrance. It's Born in Roma Roxette Noir, which was a limited fragrance that got a lot of hate, but I actually enjoyed it, and my wife really enjoyed it. So it does a designer thing, but it kind of stays away. Ralph Lauren fragrances, those are, well, the newer ones are kind of just like that Invictus-y kind of style that I'm not really the biggest fan of. But I know that the Polo 67 has been a hit, so it's not really in bad shoes. Guy Laroche, they have Jacquard Noir. For those people that want to compare Absolute Aventus to Jacquard Noir, like they do with Sauvage Elixir, now you can make that comparison, I guess. Prada, I know Prada, the new one came out. I did smell it in store. I don't remember what it smelled like really, so it probably wasn't really that memorable. Mugler, with their recent release, Phantasm, has been doing really well. So I don't think that Creed's really in bad hands. Like, this guy was saying that they go to L'Oreal to die. I don't think so. Armani, Acqua di Gio fragrances are still going fine. The Acqua di Gio Elixir, Acqua di Gio Elixir, that was my favorite fragrance from the entire Acqua di Gio line. Azzaro, I really don't really care too much about Azzaros. That's whatever. I'll keep that. You know, they need to make money, right, for the popular market of people that just want to buy fragrances that smell sweet. I'm not the person that's going to purchase those fragrances. But for what the selection that they have, those are, I think they're doing all right. I don't think they're killing anything. What I would be worried about is if, I don't know, if it was, let's see, they're treating Creed like one of their prestigious brands and they're going to make sure that they keep the quality up, which I feel like that's what they would do. There's still a lot of people that love Creed, a lot of people that hate Creed just to hate Creed. Honestly, they either can't afford them or they're just not the powerhouses that people want their fragrances to be, especially if they're like pretty much, they think punching somebody in the face with your fragrance equivalates to compliments. I just don't really, I don't know. I wish I could really like talk to someone, or maybe you don't really like Creed fragrances. Is it really the projection? Like, is it really the longevity? Are you really having those issues, or is this just something that you heard from a YouTuber say? I want your honest opinion on this, because honestly, again, as someone that's been buying Creed fragrances for so many years, I've never had any issues with performance. So it's kind of hard for me to see someone else's perspective instead of I don't remember which YouTuber it was that constantly just said that Creed fragrances just don't last, and it just seems like a lot of his viewers, or just a lot of the viewers, just ran with it and now just go off this narrative that Creed fragrances don't last. And it is what it is. Shout out to whoever did that, that I guess ran Creed's name through the mud. Maybe a free bottle would have changed his mind or something. But again, let's talk about their recent releases. Carmina, I actually enjoyed Carmina. My wife has a bottle, I think. No, I sold her bottle because she wanted a bottle of BR540. So obviously you guys know I sell fragrances, and I kind of just flip them. She really wasn't wearing Carmina. So I did get rid of that for her for BR540 because she got a sample of BR540 and really enjoyed it. And she's also not the type to be to have multiple fragrances. She likes to have one fragrance, go through it, then she'll get something else. Even though her Aventus for her, I just got her another bottle just because she went through her first bottle. Centaurus, Delphinus, she loves Delphinus. Delphinus is one of her favorite Creeds to smell on me. Fragaria, I don't think she smelled that one, but Eladaria, I have had a sample for that one, and I've had it on. I've had her smell it and wear it, and it just wasn't something that she would wear. Not that she didn't like it, it's just something that really didn't intrigue her. She's not really a a rose lover, and I believe that's a rose fragrance. It has like 3 different roses or something. For him saying that Creed's scent aesthetic of the last 2 years has leaned Middle Eastern amber. Like, what are you talking about? Like Absolute Aventus is a darker Aventus, similar to Sauvage Elixir. Carmina, I think, is like a cherry fragrance. Queen of Silk, I could see it there. Centaurus and Delphinus aren't like Middle Eastern fragrances. Fragaria and Ladaria are definitely not Middle Eastern fragrances. Oud Zarion, sure. Like that's 2 fragrances out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 fragrances out of 8, and then he's just gonna say the scent aesthetic of the last 2 years is Middle Eastern. No, dude, it's not. Like, this is not Middle Eastern. This is a tobacco note, which is interesting. Like, I don't know if maybe it's something that's a little bit stronger. People just consider Middle Eastern. What would you consider Western? Would you just consider Aventus? Does it have to smell like Aventus for it to be considered that way? What if it's like Virgin Island water? Do you just consider it like I don't know, vacation? Not Middle Eastern, but what would it be? Tropical? I don't know. This article, he put his opinion in. I feel like if it's going to be an article about something and you just want to inform people, I would just say keep your opinion away from it. It also looks like this person really doesn't know what they're talking about here. At least from someone that has smelled all these creeds. And then for him to say from cult alpha clubbing favorites, it's like you pretty much just showed how much you dislike Creed for some reason. And just want to go ahead and hate on Creed because first, I wonder what the beef is with the Creed fragrances. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Different kind of video today. I'm just trying not to make a lot of redundant videos, especially with my fragrances. Like, obviously, I should be back home in like 2 weeks, so I'll be back to making normal fragrance content, and I could, or at least my normal content, unless you like stuff like this, I could also do this every once in a while. And then I'll be back to my collection as well, so I could start making more of the rotation videos and different fragrances during those rotation videos, top 5s or top 10s instead of top 3s. I just don't like, I feel like I'm being redundant with my fragrance content, so decided to do something a little bit different today, talk about something that obviously I really love my Creed fragrances. So just want to speak on this. It's something that I've kept on hearing. I've been at work, so I haven't really thought too much about it. And this is probably like the worst article to read for this. It's kind of just, he threw his opinion in here. I wish I would have just read something about like the transaction and if there's any plans. And then I would have not formed my own opinion on it, but see it from a unbiased point of view. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Please leave a like and subscribe. It seems like it's time to get Oud Zarion, so we might have to do that. I will see you guys on the next video. Have a good one, guys.